Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. I'm just about getting over the last 24 hours. In fact, maybe the last week, but mainly the last 24 hours. We've gone from Daniel Dubois is ill, but he's going to be okay, to Daniel Dubois is very ill, and the doctor's looking at him, and it's a 50-50 chance whether or not he fights, to Daniel Dubois is out, and then it's a case of, okay, who's Joseph Parker going to fight? Is Joseph Parker going to stay on the card? And then we start hearing names like Okoli, David Adeleye, and others, and then we hear Martin Bakole. So that's all happened in 24 hours. Martin Bakole, as we speak, is on his way to Saudi Arabia. And then, if you rewind 48 hours before that, we had the Floyd Schofield situation with Shakur Stevenson. Is Shakur Stevenson going to stay on the card? What's going on with Floyd Schofield? All the conspiracy theories. Josh Padley flies out. So that now happens. And the reason I say all that is because I feel like all those incidents have taken away from the main event. Let's not forget, ARTUR BETERBIEV is defending all these belts against DMITRY BIVOL. And maybe because both of those fighters don't really talk, they don't really sell a fight, they deliver it in the ring, but outside the ring, let's be honest, they don't really deliver. I feel like we've just forgotten what the main event is. Like everyone now is talking about Joseph Parker versus Martin Bakole. Let's talk about DMITRY BIVOL versus ARTUR BETERBIEV. Let's talk about DMITRY BIVOL trying to become a champion again. So yeah, let's spend a few minutes discussing that. I'm going to give you my prediction for the fight. I'm not going to fence it with this one. I've had this prediction in my head for about 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm going to stick with it. Sometimes your mind can change when you see a fighter and you hear from other people, experts, former boxers, etc. They can kind of sway you one way. But I feel like I know, or I hope I know, who's going to win this fight. That being said, I do think it's a 50-50 fight again. All right, look, the first fight was very, very competitive, wasn't it? I think, having watched it back a few times, that ARTUR BETERBIEV maybe sneaked it. Like, it's funny, rounds are very hard to score, you know, because a lot of those rounds, I thought DMITRY BIVOL did the better work for 2 minutes. But then I think ARTUR BETERBIEV's minute looked more impactful on the ice, right? If you're a judge watching it, DMITRY BIVOL's doing well, he's jabbing, he's moving, he's making ARTUR BETERBIEV miss. Then ARTUR BETERBIEV lands a big right hand, you're like, oh my God. And it's that, oh my God, that seemed to win ARTUR BETERBIEV the round. So yeah, the rounds were so close, but I felt like ARTUR BETERBIEV maybe did more in terms of damage. So it's, what do you want? Do you want someone that's on the front foot, throw more combinations, throw more jabs, or do you want someone that just damages you? And I feel like the judges went for damage you. I have had a look at the stats because we are doing something on the show tomorrow, and the amount of jabs, so through rounds 1 to 5, DMITRY BIVOL's jabs were very, very high, like numbers, and then it completely dropped off a cliff. Even his combinations, very, very high, from rounds 1 to 7, then dropped off a cliff. And that was because of the pressure of ARTUR BETERBIEV. So yeah, I'm not mad at BETERBIEV winning. Although, again, I can understand why some people say DMITRY BIVOL won, because they're scoring a round as who did the better work in a round as opposed to who did the more eye-catching work. It's a bit complicated. I think you guys know what I'm talking about. So as we go into this fight, I've spoken to both fighters, and both fighters are like, I can do better. Like DMITRY BIVOL, I can do better. Maybe I need to be 150% as opposed to 100%. ARTUR BETERBIEV was talking about his knee to me, saying, you know, the first fight, you know, they were sure about the knee, but again, went in there with a bit of reservation as to how the knee was going to hold up. Bear in mind, he knows how much DMITRY BIVOL moves. So I think ARTUR BETERBIEV kind of warmed into the fight once he realized the knee was okay. If you watch the fight back, ARTUR BETERBIEV doesn't really cut off the ring as much in the first few rounds because I think he's a bit wary of the knee. Now he knows the knee's 100%, expect him to really cut off those exit points for DMITRY BIVOL. DMITRY BIVOL is going to have to work and work and work. And I think he's going to have to try and damage BETERBIEV, which isn't impossible. We have seen BETERBIEV go down, but I mean, once he gets up, there's a bit of a problem. So again, it's such a tough fight to call. Who can make the better adjustments? Who can make more improvements from the first fight to the second fight? Can DMITRY BIVOL keep those combination punches as high as he did from rounds 1 to 7? Or will it just empty again because of the pressure Beterbiev is putting on you? Will Beterbiev be able to start faster because he starts his fights so slow? Apart from the Callum Smith fight, I've gone back and watched a few of his fights. He does start slow. He almost gives away the first 3 or 4 rounds knowing that he's going to catch up to you. Something like, I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. I'm going to hurt you. And I'm going to stop you because you can't keep up with this pace. DMITRY BIVOL was able, to an extent, to keep up with the pace. So I expect ARTUR BETERBIEV to start a bit faster. My question is, I mean, ARTUR BETERBIEV is what, 40, 41? Can he start faster? Can ARTUR BETERBIEV keep that same pace up from rounds 1 to 12? Or maybe the thinking is, I start fast and I do what I do with all the opponents, I stop them. So we don't have to worry about getting to 12 because Bivol's not getting there. Maybe that's his thinking. I think DMITRY BIVOL can make more adjustments. I think DMITRY BIVOL, again, watching it back, it's not like he doesn't trust his power or punch resistance, but he goes one. So DMITRY BIVOL goes to Beterbiev, he flurries, then he drops back. This is very risky. He needs to go, flurry, and stay there. He needs to stay there. He needs to push Beterbiev back a little bit to get that respect. If he doesn't, as soon as he does that first flurry, Beterbiev's just on him. He just swarms him, and that's what he did. He swarmed him. So I think Bivol can make adjustments. And I think if Bivol works the legs of Beterbiev and forces him to work from round 1, I think Beterbiev will slow down in the championship rounds. Maybe I'm just hoping because, you know, I'm Team Bivol. So I'm going for Bivol to win majority decision. Yeah, that's how much fence sitting I'm doing here. I'm going for Bivol to do just a little bit more. And Bivol's right. Every time I've spoken to him about this, it's like I was 100%. I know he said 150, but, you know, we've had conversations before. I just need to be 10% more. I just need to be 10% better. So it's a case of, yes, when I do win those rounds, I've got to make sure the judges know I've won those rounds. And that, it's risky because you stay in the pocket with Turbo if you could get chinned. But he's got to commit a bit more. You watch the fight and there are rounds where he's landing good stuff on the ropes, but it looks like he's on the run. And ultimately, that's the way he fights. He fights like that. But from a judge's perspective, it looks like he's running around the ring as opposed to creating angles and counter-punching. So I think he just needs to stay there a bit longer and then get the fuck out of there. So that's how I think Bivol wins the fight, and that's why I do think Bivol could win the fight and will win the fight. For Beterbiev, I mean, you just have to do what you've been doing for your last 22 fights, right? But you have to be a bit more aggressive, I think, in the early rounds. And I think he will be. I think Beterbiev is going to be really aggressive out the gate. Remember, this isn't round 1. This is round 13. These guys know each other now. This is round 13. So I think Beterbiev is going to come at the gate. But if he doesn't knock out Bivol, I mean, he's fucking 40, man. The gas tank surely has to run empty. Not just the gas tank, but the weight cut. Like, he's cutting a lot of weight. I've been around him all week. He's the biggest out of them all. And I mean, he's the bigger out of Callum Smith, out of Buatsi, out of Bivol. He's the big one. So I think he must have to cut a lot of weight. And that, I think, will affect him going into the championship rounds if he's pushed early or if he starts early. I don't know. Look, no, there's no wrong answer in this one. Beterbiev could chin him. Beterbiev could chin him. Beterbiev could win on points. But I'm going for Bivol to become undisputed light heavyweight champion. And then either a trilogy happens because the fight was close, or Benavidez steps in the ring and squares up to Bivol. Like, by the way, either way, whichever option here happens, I'm not mad. If Beterbiev wins and he fights Benavidez, if Bivol wins and he fights Beterbiev in the trilogy, if Bivol wins and Beterbiev decides to go to cruiserweight and fights Benavidez, I don't care. I have no care. I just feel like we're going to see good fights regardless. All right, let's quickly wrap on this. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua has a better chance than ever of taking place. I feel like AJ has a better chance of fighting Dubois. Now Dubois stepped aside from this one. Look, we'll see. I'm tired of talking about Fury AJ. I've been talking about Fury AJ for a decade. For a fucking decade. A decade. Like, a decade. I don't want to talk about it anymore. All right, guys, girls, we are done. Peace and love.